Hey everyone, Sunburned Muckluck here, and let's talk about the Untamed. The Untamed was a bit of a wreck in its first beta testing that didn't impress most players, and I went over many of the issues it faced in the Untamed Disappointment video, and now here we are in the second beta test, which includes the Untamed, and they have made it much better, but it has a handful of new issues. I'm going to show them here and hope that by shedding some light on them, maybe we can get them fixed. The Untamed now has a line of ambush skills. Essentially, when you unleash yourself, your next one skill will be empowered depending on the weapon type. You only have a few seconds to fire the empowered shot before it goes back to normal. For most weapons, this works great, but I found it troublesome with the shortbow. The shortbow's normal attack is target-based, but the ambush is reticule-based. So when you unleash, it stops your attacks, and you have 2 seconds to quickly aim the reticule and fire it before you've lost the opportunity. In the heat of combat, this led me to either missing the 2-second window and just ceasing all attacks during that time, or firing it without realizing it at my mouse cursor, which was not hovering over the enemy at that moment in time. I'd like to simply fire it at the target and hit surrounding enemies in the same way that the longbow ambush does. Auto-casting pet skills. The Untamed gives you full access to your pet's skills, which can allow for some big combos. Looking at you, tail swipe enjoyers. But I don't want to press every skill manually. For example, the Drake has Chomp, which does a bit more damage every 12 seconds. Or the Juvenile Boar has Maul. You want your pets to use these skills automatically. The best solution would be to allow us to set the skills to manual or to auto-cast, depending on what we wanted. World of Warcraft implemented this system with its pets as well years ago. Any skill that you wanted it to just simply use on cooldown, you could right-click it and it would become an auto-cast skill, or you could undo that if you wanted to have it be manual. Side note, can all ranger pets have this, please? Why does only the Untamed have a tamed pet? The next issue is that untamed, unleashed pets will use their unleashed skills when they are way out of range. This is inconsistent with other pet skills. Here is me as a core ranger ordering my jacaranda to attack that golem. Notice it moves forward into range before it casts Call Lightning. It doesn't simply waste it from far back here. However, as an Untamed, if I tell the jacaranda manually to use its Call Lightning while we are definitely out of range of it, it will sometimes run into range and do it properly, and other times just cast it on itself while we're out of range very inconsistently. It gets worse when you're unleashed and you try to use Venomous Outburst to blind the enemy, which might save your life. You use the skill and the pet uses the Venomous Outburst as a gap closer, then walks into range afterward. If you try to use Rending Vines to remove the enemy's boons, the pet will use it far before it gets into range to do such a skill. I would love for the pet to do a range check before it wastes its abilities. It does this often with its own skills, but when you are Untamed, it will do it sometimes, and when you are Unleash Untamed, it does it never. Next up, the F1 through F3 skill tooltips scale with your gear. For example, with Berserker Amulet, the Venomous Outburst Poison says it does 500 damage, but with Rabbit Amulet, which has condition damage on it, the poison now says it does 1200. Okay, so this is going to do 1200 poison damage. Let's test it. So there, I turned my back on this golem so that I didn't accidentally fire any auto attacks, told my pet to use Venomous Outburst, and then immediately called it back. It did 1 Venomous Outburst hit, followed by 6 poison ticks for 58 damage each. Roughly just over 300 damage. Absolutely not doing the 1200 poison it lists here. So either A, the damage is supposed to be much higher, but it isn't, or B, the low damage is intended, but the tooltip is lying. One possibility is that it is using the pet's condition damage stat when determining the poison damage values, but using my condition damage stat for the tooltips. This next one goes for both the Unleashed pet and the Mechanist pet. Sometimes when you tell your pet to come back to you, it does so at a very leisurely pace. Sometimes I'm calling my pet back to me because it's producing a shield and I need it to save my life. In short, when I hit pet return, I would like it to always run to me, not pause and then walk. And that's all I've got for now. Overall, it was a huge improvement to the previous Untamed beta, and I played it for a couple of hours until one moment when the pet wasted all of its skills while out of range, which led to my death, and then I was ready to flip a table and I took a break and went back to Mechanist. But hopefully these get fixed just like many of the bugs from the last time, and that's all I've got for today. Until next time.